I want to go over a list of symptoms of ADHD, autism, and OCD that were missed in me growing up. For context, I was born in the early 2000s. During that time, a lot of people didn't even think that girls and women could have ADHD or autism. At that point, I think OCD, but OCD is like mostly diagnosed in women, which is another conversation. But the one thing is that, especially in first and second grade, I got in trouble a lot because I would be talking to people in class when the teacher was talking on accident. It was like I couldn't like stop the words from coming out of my mouth. Just like getting in trouble a lot for talking too much. Not double checking my work. That was one thing. Like, I was really smart, but that was one critique I got until like I went to middle school, is not double checking my work and like missing steps, especially like in math, and not like showing my work. Being told I was a pleasure to have in class and always being sat next to problem kids. Can remember specifically this one instance where I was sat in middle school between these two kids who, I think, looking back, were both autistic boys, and they would constantly be arguing, and at one point I got so fed up I just like told them to shut up. And now looking back at it, I'm like, the teacher probably put me there because like they would not shut up. But yeah, that happened to me more than once. Needing extra help outside of school. Starting from third grade, I had a tutor all the way until my senior year of high school, before my senior year of high school. And if I didn't have that help, I could have easily failed school if I wasn't taught the organizational skills that my tutor taught me. And then also in first and second grade, I was getting like special ed help like outside of class, like every week or like twice a week. We would like just be taught like vocab words and like get extra help with spelling, because that was another thing I struggled with, and also like pronouncing words when I'm like reading something, which are signs of dyslexia. Also not being able to do mental math, which is dyscalculia, which is kind of hard because I wasn't able to communicate that as a child. I literally thought that how people did math is that they memorized the answers, like, to math problems. Like, I didn't realize that people were, like, computing it in their head. It took a longer time for me to be able to learn how to read analog clocks. It was very confusing to me that like the numbers on the clock didn't match up to what time you would say. And not being able to tell my left from right. What helped me is like doing the L thing. If you've ever like, they tell you like left will always be like the correct, if you're thinking about reading from left to right. I had extreme anxiety. I had depression starting from 7th grade. Lots of stomach aches and nausea. Extra spacey, daydreaming, that was another thing that I got feedback on, especially like in 2nd grade. Falling asleep in class. I was like always tired too. And there's a combination of reasons for that, but from a neurological standpoint, the school environment was extremely overstimulating for me, and I think that's why I was so tired. And then another thing is like starting in like the beginning of high school, I would literally take a nap like every day after school. And looking back at it, I think it's because I would be so overstimulated, and my nervous system, one of the only ways it could regulate itself was by sleeping. So yeah, and that was another thing. I could literally felt like I could fall asleep anywhere, anytime. Oh, being labeled as like gullible and like overly naive, being extremely sensitive, to the point that it's a bit ridiculous. I also was terrified of class presentations to the point where I'd be like shaking while I'm talking and looking back at it. I'm like, why didn't the teacher be like, if you were that scared, honey, then like, and like, I don't know, if I saw that, having different special interests. So, you know, the stereotype with autistic boys liking trains and cars and airplanes? Yeah, so those are like autistic special interests. And for me, though, those things were like beauty and like different types of animals. I've been like obsessed with different types of animals, like dogs, cats, and hamsters at different stages of my life. And having psychology as a special interest since like my freshman year of high school, so 14, 15. And astrology, knowing everything about astrology. And I think psychology and astrology are special interests because literally it's just like a game of pattern recognition. Okay, and then gagging at certain food textures, this ARFID, having fast weight fluctuations, emotional dysregulation, especially when I was very little. Like I had a hard time like keeping my emotions in and not becoming very overwhelmed. That's something I've really had to work on, not like making my window of tolerance much bigger because of how much more stimuli I take in than the average person because of how my brain is wired. And when I was a kid, I had separation anxiety from my mom, like when I was really little. When she would leave me like alone, like for daycare or preschool, I would be pretty upset most of the time. Like over time, it was fine the more I got used to it, but I remember it being really hard at first because I was really worried that like she wouldn't come back to get me at the end of the day. But yeah, that fear of abandonment continued into my adolescence, and another, I feel like, big symptom is like I attracted narcissistic people like over and over and over all throughout my teens, whether it was men or women or friends or romantic endeavors. Oh, also, being like too blunt, having no filter, and accidentally hurting people's feelings because I like assumed that other people would want to know the truth about things because I do, when that's not necessarily true. Also, feeling like the floater friend. Like I felt like I was friends with people in a lot of different groups, but I was like always kind of on the outside. There have been very few groups of people where I really felt connected to all the people in the group and like they genuinely liked me and like wanted me to be there. Yeah, like never being like in the group chats or like in the inner group chats or like invited into things like in the like inner circle, kind of in friend groups. It was very rare that I felt included in that or I was included in that.